you're now listening or watching, you're now tuned into I Don't Know That's Perfect. I am Mario from the South Side, and I'm your host today. Today, I'm sitting down with the lovely Yoshika. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Wait, okay. I'm good, thank you.
How are you? How's your day going?
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Just finished recording an episode here, too, so...
Me too. So this is exciting because, like,
Pretty
for those that are
productive.
tuning in now, this is technically, we're both kind of coming in blind.
Yeah.
So depending on how this go, we may just continue this because this is a fun concept, just kind of meeting people for the first time. Because usually I'm kind of used to just like coming in with a heap of information and kind of ready to ask a million questions. But there's also always a fun thought, the concept of like meeting somebody new, you know, like whenever you meet somebody anywhere, school, work, drinks or whatever, like, and you kind of have to like figure out how to talk to people. And I feel like that's a hard thing for people to do when they try to do their own shows, you know,
For sure.
because you have to figure out how to fill in space sometimes. Like I've had moments where I've had people who like don't know how to communicate or how to speak to other people and they just sit there awkwardly, and I'm like, that's not how a podcast works. Like you're supposed to sit here and be able to talk for a whole hour at times, you know. So
I've heard someone say, like, wait, don't talk to me right now. Say it at the podcast. Like, don't tell me anything about you until the podcast. And
yeah,
I'm like,
no, see, I've said that in the past to people, but only because like I've had a habit to where like we'll start drinking and talking before the pod, and then we'll kind of get too deep into the conversation. I'm like, wait, I want to record this. So like,
Yeah.
Other than that, like no, like the people should just naturally be able to just have a conversation,
Right.
Especially when you're meeting somebody new. You know, like you and I,
Yeah.
we don't know each other, and this is our first time.
I always have really good convos, too, after my podcast. I'm
Yeah,
like, fuck.
I know you're like, fuck, we should have talked about that. But I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know, luckily this is the case for us. So just for those that are tuning in and watching, give a little background to yourself and who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Yoshika. I'm from Houston, Texas, and I moved to Austin for college. I majored in radio, TV, film, and also converging media.
Okay.
But I just went to ACC, but my teachers were really good. They were teachers from UT, and ACC has a really good film program. And so from there, I kind of moved to San Diego, then LA, and I was like, what should I do? I started my podcast, which I was like, this is actually good for me to get my toes wet into production in general for my films in the future. And I was like, so then I just kind of took off doing that. But yeah,
Nice.
Just visiting in Austin. I love Austin.
So does your show, just for what's the name of your podcast?
It's called Gorl Friday Podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you, from my understanding, you sit down with a lot of women on your show. Is it mainly women?
Yeah, I empower mainly women for sure, but also non-binary people and people of color, artists, musicians, activists, micro-influencers,
So
anyone.
a little bit of everybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
anyone who doesn't really have a platform. I also interview guys,
Okay.
just not white guys.
So anything, yeah, okay, I gotcha. So I have a chance to get on the show and I can
Yeah,
come and
for
talk.
sure.
So how has that journey been for you? Because do you record it here in Austin or do you also record in LA?
I am here in Austin to record as much as I can, but I have been looking at some studios in LA. I don't really have a place though in LA to record, but I did have one production where I rented a studio in LA and then I flew Ever out.
Okay, I think I remember him telling me about that.
Yeah,
Nice.
and he helped me out with the production. Shout out Ever.
Yeah, shout out Ever. You're here doing God's work for everybody.
For everyone.
Appreciate
for
you,
sure.
Ever. But also, how did you come up with the premise of how you wanted to do your show? Because a lot of times people sit down and then think okay, I want to do a podcast, but what should I do it about? I could talk to everybody, but is there a constant theme?
Well, at first, I was going to center it more so on sex workers, which I also interview sex workers.
Okay.
And that means dancer, escort, OnlyFans model. It could just mean a bunch of things like webcam girl, sugar baby. And so I wanted to really get stories from them that were authentic.
Okay.
And so I was looking up names and I was looking up sex term names, and Gorl Friday means female assistant or something like that.
Okay.
So back in the day, rich white men, I guess, or rich guys, businessmen, they would have the Gorl Friday. They would run errands for them, but then there would also be like
Sexual acts and whatnot.
yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna run with this. I really didn't really put that much thought. It just kind of rang a little bell, but I was like, okay.
I like the name. That's a nice name. But this is before I knew that there was a meaning to it. So it's even cooler now that there's a deep meaning behind it.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever. I think the only other time I've ever had interviews like that, like I sat down once with 3 strippers, and that was. I don't know. I know you're familiar with Confucius Jones.
Confucius.
He's a awesome DJ too, but he like was able to.
That sounds familiar.
He got me 3 strippers to come on the show, and it was definitely an interesting show. It was a fun show that we had at that time.
Nice. I used to dance in Austin for like 6 years.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm.
Now how was that experience like?
It was nice. I danced at Landing Strip, Yellow Rose, and Red Rose. But I was telling someone earlier that, like, because Yellow Rose, there's a manager who literally, if you want to leave like 30 minutes early, he won't let you. And he's really rude and he acts like a pimp. And I just feel like these managers, like, they're so old school.
Yeah.
And I was talking to someone about dancing in general. And, like, they were like, don't you think it's played out? And I was like, I guess, like, the style of dancing always changes. Like in the 60s it was different. Now it's different. We have like twerks and BBLs, and I love like a girl who wants to do whatever with her body, but I definitely feel like we're outgrowing this, and we kind of should be more inclusive of like indie girls or weird girls or like trans people getting into the club, and just having more of like a alternative,
all-inclusive type.
Yeah, all-inclusive, and just have the freedom to express your sexuality. Because I've applied at one strip club in LA, and they were like, oh my God, you don't even have your makeup on, girl, and you don't have long hair or eyelashes. And they were like,
they're like high expectations.
Like, and it was a girl telling me this, and she was really pretty, and she's like, look at me, I'm ugly without my makeup. Do you think I would make money? I'm like, girl, you're pretty. Like, you're tripping. Like, I'm not just gonna like I did what they asked me to, and I cried in the car, but I was like, oh, this is the type of like misogynistic like mindset I don't like in strip clubs. And
so you just kind of steered away.
But I know Austin has a lot of like e-girls in the strip clubs that are like do their own thing and dress their own way. And
so they do both. And
have mixed it up in the dance wear and like.
Wow, I had no
so
idea.
I don't know why I just brought that up, but yeah.
That's fine.
I don't know.
Is there like a huge dynamic difference between like the strip clubs in Austin versus the ones in LA?
There's different rules. I feel like the one I worked at doesn't have VIP rooms, which is good because there's like no funny business, just dances. And then they let you go on stage whenever you want, not like when
it's
they
not like
call
on
your
a schedule.
name.
Yeah.
So that was nice, but other than that, it's kind of the same.
Yeah. And then do you still dance or like?
No, I can't. I can't. My knees hurt.
Oh, okay. I would imagine it's definitely
I'm
definitely
like on the wood stage on my knees crawling, and like I'm old. I'm 28. I'm like, no. Yeah,
is your time's passed for that. Is there like an unspoken rule as to like what age you're supposed to be doing it?
I'm sure I can still dance, and I've seen like older women at the strip club when I used to be a dancer, but for me, I'm just like. Yeah. Like also with my interviews with sex workers, I want to know what creative stuff they want to do to get out of sex work, or what they plan to do from sex work or with that platform, or what they're doing on the side of both. Okay. Just because I want to know, like, you know, that because a lot of people do it for survival, and so,
yeah. To just make a
so it's hard to get out of money making.
Kind of fall into that cycle because I would imagine it kind of gives you a different lifestyle when you start making a lot more money. Yeah. And then, now since you don't dance, do you still work another same trade?
Yeah, I do. And I'm an escort now, and I do OnlyFans.
Is that only in LA, or you also? Because I don't know, like what, like the laws or stuff like that, how that works.
Well, I don't really want to.
If you can speak on it.
Like, yeah, I travel and I do sex work in San Fran here, and in LA through. Like online stuff where I like find my clients and yeah, I get to travel and like meet some people. I meet some really cool people like doctors or like I don't know, like rental property owners, and I'm like, oh shit. And so like
Are like whenever like that sort of interaction happens, are they ever weird about it, or they're already like?
No, some people are really nice and helpful. Some people, and honestly, being an escort, I actually get way more respect and less weirder guys than at the strip club.
Okay.
Just because some of these guys, like I've even gotten younger guys, like who are like 20 or something, and they're like, I just don't want to lie to a girl to like get what I want. It's so exhausting. So
So it's just easier to do that.
and I'm like, I fucking respect that, like, you know.
Yeah.
And so like there's different types of guys, and most
Okay.
of the guys that want something like a service like that, they're pretty much respecting a girl's time and boundaries.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's already like better.
And, if you don't mind me asking, how did you fall into that job or that trade?
I had a friend here in Austin that she moved from Cali to Austin, and she was doing that type of work. And then I was just a sugar baby. But I was like, oh my God, like sugar baby is so emotionally draining because you have to
Is it?
pretend to have to like be in these relationships with these guys who ask for like,
So it's like it's not like a one-time thing where like
It's
you
not.
just. So I'm sorry because I'm
And-
just.
on one of my episodes, I talk about how Seeking.com, which is a sugar baby platform,
Okay.
the owner, he changed up the rules where you can't have any verbiage to like if a girl wants to set like an allowance, like they'll ban you, and like, or if you're like, yeah, but you're gonna, pay me, right? They'll like, some of the guys can report you that are trying to get girls for free, and like, it's like weird. So
Yeah.
he changed the rules up to where it's, you can't do that, like for the girls, and you can't promote your OnlyFans, which I think it's bogus because they're like freaking advertising businessmen.
Oh.
But as a woman, wouldn't you want to
Advertise
advertise
your
your
business.
business? And you can't say that. And he's like, the owner is married to like a freaking 20-year-old, and he's like 50, 60 years old. So it's
Golly.
like, and he wants to claim like it should be natural and true love, but it's like you literally
Got a younger woman.
So I went off on him, and he was like replying in the comments on this slide that I made that was informational, because now it's dangerous for girls who want to be sugar babies to get on there because they can't express verbiage, and
It's just
how
make it a
goes.
safe environment.
Yeah.
So what is that? I'm sorry, because I'm just like trying to steer
It's a
it with
sugar
you.
baby site.
Yeah. How does that work? Like, because you said it's an emotionally draining. What does it consist of?
I
Because
feel-
whenever like
yeah.
me, obviously not knowing anything about it,
Yeah.
like to me, I just think like, oh, it's like a girl who has an older man or whoever that just kind of like gives her money to like either talk to him or whatever. But I'm assuming
Yeah.
it's deeper than that.
Yeah, it's a lot of talking. It's a lot of like cancel dates and then get back to you. It's a lot of like, well, first let's meet up for coffee or dinner, and I'll see if I like you. And it's like,
So
what?
it's not even a guarantee the first time.
Yeah, and it's just a bunch of hoops you have to jump through to be like their sugar baby. And it's like, what, bitch? Like,
Yeah.
obviously, if you find someone who treats you right, like pays you for the first dinner, like even if it's $150 for the meat, or like buys you a gift on the first date, or like sets up an allowance and is easygoing, like obviously you could find guys that are respectable of what your needs, and then you can be, in return, I would be so respectable of
Yeah.
theirs. But some guys like make it to where you can't
Just
say,
super complicated.
super, and it's
Okay,
like,
so you did that, and then you
And
just
then-
decided to step away from it.
yeah, I saw my friend moving faster and making way more money, and being able to, she was at the time running away from her like pimp in Cali.
Oh,
So she
gosh.
came here and was like doing everything he taught her on her own.
Okay.
And I kind of like helped her, like, okay, we need to go apply for apartments, or helped her be like more independent, because I've always been independent. So, and then she helped me out with how to be an escort. So we just kind of like,
Click together. So do y'all work together, or is it like sort of like more so you run your own deal?
I
and she
just
runs-
do my own stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So how has that been going? You say you've been able to travel a lot, and
Yeah, I can just travel, post an ad, and meet my clients. I obviously screen them for safety, and And since it's like half hour, like I just kind of make my money quick, and then I'll do my creative stuff or focus on like my business or whatever.
And so, I'm assuming there has to be some sort of dangers that may come with it that you have to kind of be aware of. Like, do you ever feel like some guys just like super weird, or is there like ways to like?
I require a deposit, so that guarantees that they're not like creepy or bullshitting or gonna rob me or something. And then I also look them up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're pretty public about it, or like, are they like most of the time?
We
just
single? Have like an app where the girlies will look up a number, and then if that person was problematic, a lot of people
like y'all review them or give like feedback. Okay, that's interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And so now, with the podcast you're doing, have you had some pretty interesting stories from other people that have given you a little bit more insight, or like stuff that you may have not, that learning for the first time, you know?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of girls have talked about their private Snapchats and how they used to do that. And I'm like, what? Like, how did that work? And like, I'll also learn marketing tips through other girls, like how to gain more information on Reddit or like Twitter, or like one of my friends taught me a lot about foot fetishes and like the foot world.
Oh, yeah, because it's a whole other thing to that. Like, they have a website for that, right?
Yeah, now I'm a foot girl. I offer, like...
Is that, like, the easiest ways where you don't have to really interact with them? Or how does that
It's not, like, per se easy, but it's different, and it's definitely fun, too.
Yeah.
Because, like, I've had, like, slaves come over to my house, and, like, they'll clean, do dishes, and, like, also buy me, like, wish list stuff, and then... in return, like, they worship or kiss my feet or, like, sniff them.
Oh, it's like shit that they're into.
They're into.
But it's like, that's
but it's
most
kind of,
that
like,
it gets
hot. I'm like, okay, like, you finished cleaning, thanks. And
they, like, get super into it.
Like, you could sniff my feet, I guess.
That's very interesting, to say the least, because that's insane. But like, this is stuff that like you would think when you think sex work, you would think just straight up just like, oh, just have sex for money. But like, there's, I guess, so many different.
Yeah, there's so many different things. You could even just like sex isn't even always involved, like especially escorting, especially if it's like people just want to hang out.
Yeah,
so you can just hang out.
Just want like company.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a misconception, I guess, obviously.
Yeah, obviously just stick true to your boundaries.
Yeah, and just know what you want and what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Is there any other misconceptions that you would, like, given the platform, be able to clear up for, obviously, me and people that are watching and listening?
There's also misconceptions, like a lot of the shadow banning and, like, the verbiage, like, banning comes from... protecting women from being sex trafficked, but sex work is not sex trafficking, and so they made laws acting like it is, and it just puts women in danger because we can't like really negotiate, speak up for ourselves, or like promote in a lot of platforms, or like, you know, like they kind of like quiet us down. So that's like a big misconception, is a lot of these rules are because they're trying to protect like sex trafficking, but it's like that's not what we're doing. So that's like one. And then I would say like a lot of people think it's easy, but it's not. Like I get overwhelmed because a lot of the calls I get are fake. I have to screen them all. I have to set up appointments. I have to like obviously, you know, put my physical energy and my energy into a lot of these dates. And then also dating can be a little tough for me just because, like, some people aren't comfortable with the idea of their girl doing that.
Have you been fortunate enough to, like, have, like, I would imagine it takes, like, a very secure man to be able to, like, to date with?
Yeah, when I moved to San Diego, I was, like, dating my sugar daddy. He was only, like, 32, though. And I was, like, 27. And then... we ended up dating, moving in together, and like fell in love, whatever. But like my OnlyFans is honestly like my personal encounters, like with my boyfriends that I've had, or like if I feel comfortable hooking up with someone.
It's not just like anybody.
It's not just anyone. I don't really like to collab like that, which is hard because it could be good for my promotion, but I just like it to be natural.
Do you ever have like like old boyfriends that are like, hey, like, can you take me down, or like, are they just all fine with it?
Like older boyfriends?
Yeah, like that. You said that you record a lot of your personal partners. Like, do they ever come back after you guys are no longer talking or whatever? And they're like, "Hey, can you take that video down of us or anything like that?" They're all
they
just
don't
fine
care.
with it. Okay.
No, I actually have one of my exes, which I made like my first videos with him when I was like 25, and like he's been subscribed for like 3 years still.
Oh, damn.
He's just crazy. I don't even know what his deal is, but he's always like BBC, and I'm like, okay, can you call?
God.
So I think that's a funny one.
Yeah.
Or like when I send out my videos of him and. Or like if I send out a video in general, he's like, he didn't please you, huh? And I'm like, okay. Great. Damn. Can't get rid of you.
Yeah, you just stuck with him. That's funny. What other interesting experience have you had as far as like since doing the podcast, like with the other type of, because I'm sure there will be other type of women that are doing stuff that you have learned about too, right?
Yeah, I learned a lot about these women. Like, for example, I just interviewed this girl. She's really into fashion marketing, content creating, and she's white. Mm-hmm. And of course, like, I welcome all females on my podcast. I don't discriminate there, but like, she has really good intel that I feel like a lot of people of color could benefit from.
Okay.
Like her verbiage and how to like monetize herself was really good, and I was like, okay, that's helpful. I also have one interview with like a guy. He's a drummer for his band Bug Spray here in Austin.
Okay.
And like we went to San Francisco and just did like an audio like episode, and it was super like candid. You could hear the fucking cars on the street of the hotel, and like just talking about his journey about like music coming from Mexico, and like I really like interviews like that. And yeah.
So how long have you been doing this show for now?
I've been doing it now for a year. I started last February actually.
And how's your progress, you feel like, been?
The progress?
Yeah.
So good, because I started out audio only. Mm-hmm. And although those are nice and good to edit, because I take out like. Yeah. But yeah, after I applied for a grant with Dawa and they accepted me, I've been making video ones, and that's been really nice for just like the visual picture. Yeah, there's everything.
People that just prefer video over audio, and
it's like the style, the picture. It's really been making me envision more about my podcast. Okay,
that's awesome. Yeah, shout out Dawa. Everything they've been doing makes it a lot easier, and the opportunities they give out to be able to do stuff like this, because a lot of times it's not easy, and it's expensive to be able to get stuff like this, to be able to get a recording, pay someone to record and all that stuff, so that's interesting. Any more plans you have for your show, and I guess just for yourself?
So I really want to come to South by Southwest and do like a live little South by interview with like hopefully Lil Yachty, but I don't know. Trying to catch him, no, but just any person of color that's an artist. Honestly, I'm down to do like 2. So hopefully, I can get in the mix with everything that's going on.
And you want to be out there on the street recording it, or just try to bring him in here?
I kind of want to get into the artist little tent over here with Ever. I'm like harassing Ever. But yeah, besides that, I just got a LLC nonprofit, and I know those are like different, but they could be combined in LA. Okay. So I have like a nonprofit for Gorl Friday, and I kind of want to get some funds to like pay my guests or have like full set productions for them, or provide like a space where they can record, just kind of like what Daw was doing a little bit. Yeah. I want to have like equipment where they could borrow it for shit, or like, I don't know, someone was like, that's a little sketch, and I'm like, fuck. But I also want to have like a little recording studio for like girls only, because I know a lot of girls have to go through guys, or like I know a bunch of artists, like female artists, that are like, this one guy like says he has a studio, but he's not replying, and like you know, the guys kind of gatekeep in the music.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to just have that space for them too.
That'll be cool, yeah. Because I've heard stories. Like I went to school for like recording and stuff like that, and like it's not very common that there's women that doing it. So like, but also the women that I have met that went to school like that or do work in music, they have had experience where like a guy or somebody won't try to teach them or show them because they will either try to like be flirting with them or do stuff with them where it's like they're just trying to learn, just trying to get into it, so it's a little unfair, so that's pretty cool that you're doing that.
For sure. Yes.
So what outside of South by, do you have any bigger plans for the show? Like, cause you say you are gonna be working on writing your own scripts and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah. So I do have like a full feature written that's kind of like on pause. I've been writing it for 3 years. And I've done like 30 rewrites on it. And I'm just letting it marinate because a lot of the, I guess I don't know if I will say what it's about, but like I like to just, when I'm not working on the project, it's marinating in my head and I'm gathering information on how to like make it super good. And then I'm working on a short film. I have like 6 pages out of 15 written. And the short film I will talk about because it's kind of like about two OnlyFans girls who are foot job girls, like they're foot girls, foot fetish girls, or goddesses. And they get like this foot fetish guy to come over to the hotel and like, it's kind of like a horror mystery thriller thing.
Oh, okay.
So
nice.
I'm doing that little short, and then I'm working on a pilot right now for like a series. And I will say that is a little harder. I've just been studying shows, working on the title, character development, and a bunch of stuff on that, but it's a little harder.
I would imagine it's a strenuous process to try to come up with scripts and stuff like that.
Yeah, especially the pilot, because you have to make it super good. Like, it's what hooks.
It's the make or break.
It's the make or break episode.
Yeah. And what's the concept behind that one, if you can talk about it?
It's kind of about transplants and in LA, and then I plan to make like different seasons in different cities.
Okay.
But just like transplants trying to make it and like just like funny things about the city or like celebrities or like a big like generalization of the city or like just something like funny. It's like a funny romance transplant comedy
like
thing.
a rom-com.
Like, not really a rom-com. Like, there's romance because there's people trying to find love and also, like, do their thing and be successful. Of it all. Yeah, in the midst of it all.
Okay.
But it's more like, I don't know, drama comedy, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Nice. I'm excited. So, I guess just for those that are watching and listening, go ahead and give out your socials and where they can find you and all your, everything you do.
Yeah, so for Gorl Friday, it's Gorl Friday Podcast on IG. And you can also listen to the episodes on Spotify. And then my Insta is Y0SHIK4_. Yeah, it's a lot. And then my OnlyFans is onlyfans.com/Aries Dream, but the E in dream is with a 3.
Okay.
Okay.
There I have it. Yeah, I know where to find her and find everything she does. I appreciate you coming along. I know this was a little bit last minute and a little brief. Hopefully in the future we can do a little more in-depth one.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sitting down with me. Hopefully maybe later I can come on your show. I don't really have
for sure. I would love to have you on my show. I look for guys and I'm like, they're always rescheduling with me and I'm like, fuck. Like, people are going to think I'm, like, all about girls or something. But, like, no, I would love to have you on your show, or my show. And thank you for having me on your show. It really means a lot to do this last minute.
Yeah, for sure. And just before I end the show, I always like to end it on a positive note, a little positivity to give off to the world, where it be something good that happened to you this week, today, this year, whatever. Or even just some little advice that you like to give out. Would you like to kick it off, or would you like me to kick it off?
You can go ahead.
Okay, so I guess mine will be, me being somebody who is a big, I try to be an advocate for women. I was raised by a strong woman. I've always been with strong women. My girlfriend's a very strong, independent woman too. I have a daughter too, so I'm surrounded constantly by women. So I always try to make sure to like implement to always make sure that you respect your women around and take care of them the way that they take care of us. So
Yes, I think that's so beautiful. I love that.
thank you.
Okay, I would say, can I cuss?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fuck money. Spend it because it's gonna come back threefolds, or not spend it, but give it to people. Pick up the tab one day, like do good gestures. Like don't worry about money because money is
comes and goes.
Comes and goes.
I feel that. And I appreciate you so much. I am Mario from the South Side. This is I Don't Know That's Perfect, and today I'm with
Yoshika.
This has been Mario and Yoshi. All right, Joe.
Bye.